Hi, I'm Ashley, and you've come to this video because you're interested in learning a little bit about long-term care. I want to talk to you about why this is important, why it is so misunderstood, and also what you need to know about the products out there as of today to make an informed decision. So just a little background on me. I am experienced expert in the insurance marketplace. Insurance advisors come to me to find what products to place their clients in based on that client specific custom goal and what carriers to work with based on maybe underwriting issues or the type of funds they want to use. So I'm very experienced in the long-term care market and can kind of talk to a lot of different points or most of the points on it. So the first thing I kind of want to go over is, why should I buy long-term care? If you are 50 and older, now is the time to start thinking about it. Of course, if you're too old, you may not qualify. Products do have a maximum limit, but if you are 50 or older, now's the time to start thinking about it. First and foremost, long-term care is such an important product to have. Why? Because it protects your assets. If you needed to go onto long-term care tomorrow, how much money would you be able to put aside to afford anywhere between $5,000 and $12,000 a month, just depending upon the level of care that you needed? That could be anywhere between 60 and 120 grand a year. That's a lot of money. And if that time frame goes beyond a year, it goes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years and beyond, all of the assets that you've built will start to wear down. So first you go through cash. Then you have to start selling off your assets. What would be the first asset that you would sell in order to be able to continue the level of care that you require? Or do your children have to come in and step in and pay for you? Or do you not have enough assets after spending all of these expenses down over a time frame that you now are subjected to Medicaid and what Medicaid will provide for long-term care, which is a scary situation. You do not want to be in that situation. I have seen people in Medicaid-based facilities, and trust me, it is not pretty. You don't want to be there. The big thing about long-term care is that you are preserving your assets. If you have a policy that you've bought, let's say over 10 years, you spent $100,000 and now you've got a bucket of $500,000 of coverage for long-term care benefit, that's 400 grand in leverage that your money bought for you. That's the first thing, leverage. That's why you buy insurance. But the second thing is asset preservation. If you got $500,000 of long-term care benefit in a bucket that you can use for your need, you don't have to tap into your assets right away, and you don't have to start using all of your cash in your account right away. And more importantly, you don't have to go to your children right away, or your children don't have to step in and start having to fund that need right away, or take time away from their work right away to be able to care for you. So long-term care is really insurance when it comes to preserving your overall estate, preserving the assets that you've built. The second reason why long-term care insurance is so important is because it does one thing that money can. We just talked about leverage, protecting assets, but it does another thing. And that second thing is that it gives you guidance and advice, or it gives your children, or it gives your designated person guidance and advice on where to go in the geographical area, what facilities are good, what home health care agencies are good, because that can be a challenge all in its own. I know people that, oh, Ashley, I'm trying to help mom right now. She needs to go into a nursing home. I went and I toured 10 different places, and that took them 3 months to figure out. Well, meanwhile, mom's at home, a detriment to her own health for the last 3 months. So having the guidance and support of what we call these care programs that the insurance companies offer. I mean, they actually have a person care concierge at these insurance companies that are going to be there to pick up the phone and help to do the research on options that are going to be available for the person that needs the care ultimately. So it's easier to find. Another reason is because it keeps that individual in their own home for longer, in the comfort of their own home for longer. I can tell you from experience with my own grandmother, first and foremost, you had 3 different children. Everyone had a different opinion on what should be done with her. She had full-blown dementia for 15 years, I will say. So it's not just something that you get and you die 2 years later, like a lot of financial advisors would have you believe. She had it for 15 years straight. And, we started out in a facility, but ultimately we ended up with her in her own home with a home caretaking organization of our choice. It was actually more expensive, but we were able to afford it. And the one thing I want to say is the long-term care insurance can make that a much more affordable situation for family members to take care of their loved ones with. So I think long-term care is invaluable. It's an emotional product. Of course, it's not cheap. Not gonna lie, everyone that comes to me or comes to my advisor say, hey, I want long-term care insurance. And sometimes they're a little price shock or sticker shock. They don't really know what to expect, but I can tell you it's not cheap. But the great thing is there's so many ways to be able to fund this need. For example, if you have done a really good job saving in your 401k, guess what? We can use qualified 401k or IRA funds that are pre-tax. There's a solution there that allows you to say, hey, I want to fund this need, but I don't have the capability to shell out, 20 grand a year, if that's what the coverage amount of care you're going to get is. So certainly there's the way to go into retirement accounts and fund this need and not hit you with a large tax bill right away. It's actually spread out over 10 years. So there are solutions in place that you should know about that make that palatable. The second thing is having something in place is better than having nothing in place. Having no long-term care insurance, we call it self-insuring, but there's no insurance there whatsoever. It's just a bucket of funds that you've put together to say, hey, I'm going to earmark this for this time and place. What if it's not enough? What if you live longer than those funds can take care of you for? The other thing that you should know about is the inflation on healthcare products greatly outpaces general inflation in the marketplace. So if general inflation in the marketplace is 3%, over let's say a 40, 50-year horizon, long-term care is probably 5, 6, or 7%. It's very expensive. Medical equipment is constantly being updated. The old stuff has to be tossed away and the new stuff have to be brought in, and they are very, very expensive products, materials, research, time. Just know that the cost of healthcare greatly outpaces the cost of general inflation or a basket of goods. So that's another reason why long-term care insurance is not inexpensive. You are going to pay for it. Now, that's not to say that if you only have, a couple $100s to be able to fund this need, we can help you. There's going to be a solution in place where maybe $250 a month can certainly do the job for a single person for a long-term care plan. Now, maybe you're not getting the Cadillac Mac Daddy policy, but having something in place is better than having nothing in place. So I do want to reinforce that idea. The second thing I want to say about funding is there are so many different ways to fund it. If you have an old life insurance policy, if you have an old annuity, if you want to do a single premium, if you want to pay it up in 5 years, if you want to pay over the course of a lifetime, all of these solutions are solutions that we can use to help you fund the need. So you're not stuck, there are options in the marketplace, but you have to talk about you have to talk about with your financial advisor how to solve this problem. The problem I have with financial advisors or wealth managers is that they don't want to talk about spending the money on insurance. They'd rather just have you put the money away into an account and say, hey, it'll grow at X% year over year. You hope. What if it doesn't? What if you have another black swan COVID-19 event where the market's bottomed out? Because that has happened in recent history. What if you have a flat year and performance is just flat, or you have a poor year and performance is down? So, sometimes just earmarking dollars in a performance-based account is not a good idea. If you can get something where you have leverage on your money and those monies come out tax-free every single time, for the purpose of long-term care, that's going to be a better deal than taking the money out, paying the taxes, hoping you get the performance, and so on. I talked about tax-free benefit. The Internal Revenue Code has rules in place that say, hey, if you're using this insurance for the purpose of long-term care, it's called 7702B IRC. If you're using this for long-term care and your policy meets the 7702B rules, the money you take out can be used tax-free. So a tax-free benefit is a lot better than a benefit you're paying 32% on or more, just depending upon where you are in the country and whether maybe you also have state tax and so on. So there's a lot of things to be thinking about here. This is something that I truly feel in my heart that anyone that's 50 and older should be looking at. I'm not going to tell you I have never had a person come to me that's under 50 that has looked for this product. I've had a lot of wealthy clients that can easily cover this need on their own without any type of insurance come to me and say, hey, I want to have something like this in place, not necessarily for the money aspect, but for the guidance and support aspect, but also because they have good financial wherewithal and they understand that, maybe $1 out of your pocket can buy 10 for insurance purposes, and they understand leverage. So if you are someone who is looking for information, if you are trying to find the right product based on how you want to fund things, if you're someone who has ever been declined for long-term care insurance, we actually have solutions in place that allow you to get insurance coverage guaranteed, meaning you cannot be turned down. So there are solutions in places, guys. Feel free to contact me, Ashley White, and my phone number and my email address are located down in the description. I've also put some additional information for you to link over to get documents and pieces of data just to help you, as well as longer videos that kind of elaborate a little bit on what I'm talking about here. So feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help out anyway. Thanks. Bye.